Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this afternoon stream of the NAGA. My name is Reed Option, and I am joined today by Nick.
Hello, I'm Nick.
You need an app for me to help with that.
You may know me as owner of the Memphis Liberty.
And Nick will be providing the play-by-play commentary, and I will be providing the color commentary here today. Looks like Orlando has a favorable matchup here at home after coming off of a tough loss to Raleigh. What do you think of this matchup here today in Florida, Nick?
Well, I think that this definitely decides what happens for either of these teams for their playoff future. Because realistically, whatever team that loses this matchup will probably not make the playoffs anymore.
That is true. Orlando having a fringe spot in the 6th seed, I believe, in the current playoff picture.
As of now, over the Memphis Liberty due to divisional records.
They'll have the first drive.
Alright. And it's handoff to Brown, and he doesn't gain much yards on that. Great tackle there. And now they'll bring up second down for Orlando.
Cameron Brown, shocking that he gets no gain there. He has one of the highest yards per rush in the league this year. See how they respond on second down.
Going for the pass right there. They're going deep, and that is not caught by the receiver. That brings up third down already.
Intended for wide receiver 2, Jamarcus Golden, out of Florida State.
Let's see what Orlando will do here to keep this drive alive, as they need to score as much as they can so that they don't lose this game. And he is sacked. Sacked by Breedlove.
This offensive line has not done Orlando many favors this season. Sean Fisher constantly getting pressed. We're always seeing Evan Rawlings in the punting unit.
That punt is around the 35, and he is tackled at about the 40.
Looks like Salt Lake City will get to show what they're worth, having the second worst overall offense, worst overall rushing offense, up against this first overall pass defense, number 2 overall defense in Orlando. Go! Might be a one-sided matchup.
And that ball's intercepted by Gordon. And he takes it out, and he is down at about the 45.
And just as we were talking about the poor Salt Lake City offense, what a response. Adrian Gordon.
Good way to respond after that bad first drive from Orlando. Now they have the ball at around midfield. Stepping back, and he throws short, and he picks up 1 yard on that play.
Jamarcus Golden targeted the most so far today. I know it's only 2 minutes into the first, but looks like he might end up being the favorite for Orlando.
As a running play, and he gets a gain of, 4 yards on there.
Not bad, but another third down situation for Orlando. And if they bring out the kicking unit, that might be a 57-yarder, so you don't want to end up in that situation.
Let's see how they're going to run the ball again, and that is a first down.
That'll give Stefan Freitag potentially a better position for a kick if the Orlando offense keeps producing as little as they have so far today. Single back form.
And that is another running play. He breaks the tackle, and he gets a gain out of that play, a gain of 3.
It's like now we'll see Maryland graduate, former Terrapin, Sean Miles. Round 2, pick 43 for Orlando this past season. hasn't had a bad showing here in this running back tandem.
So he drops back and he throws it, and the ball is tipped off.
Looks like that was intended for Brown, and we do have a leg injury on the defensive side. Looks like Joseph Maitland, the punt returner and free safety, is going to go to the blue tent for a little bit.
But it seems like he will be back very shortly. And there's a QB keeper, and he gets a decent gain out of that. And that brings up 4th and 3rd.
Looks like Freitag will have to kick a 42-yard field goal, barring they go for it here. And it looks like the kicking unit will see the field.
And we'll see how this play goes out. And it is up, and it is good.
Disappointing for an offense that, they held their own against the Raleigh Royals. The Royals, having a top 5 off defense on all fronts, not letting up a whole lot, and they produced more against Raleigh, I feel like, even at this point in the game. So maybe Salt Lake City will surprise us like Omaha did against the Portland Grizzlies. Orlando not looking too promising even after the 3 points by Freitag.
Definitely. And let's see what Salt Lake City responds after that bad interception on their first play. And that is a tackle for a loss.
DeMarcus Clark couldn't get far. This defensive line with Ryan Rosenblum, pretty resilient so far this season.
See how Salt Lake City will respond on 2nd and 16. He drops back and he throws short to Valentine for a gain of about 2 yards.
This matchup is a matchup of 2 pretty aged quarterbacks, Sean Fisher and Sean Corbin. The battle of the Seans, both in their early 30s. I don't expect to see a whole lot of deep throws here today.
He keeps... Okay, and that is picked up by Boone. They'll bring him a fresh set of downs right there.
Great catch by the veteran, Kevin Boone. Just as I was saying he wasn't going to throw it deep. He must have heard the broadcast.
Gives the ball, and that's another tackle for loss.
Looks like DeMarcus Clark is going to have negative yards per rush. The round 3 pick 52 for Salt Lake City. Having a rough rookie year.
Definitely not the best showing so far. Not having really any, in fact, negative rushing yards on this so far, and that's a 1st down.
Great catch by Jordan Culver. Although Corbin is getting old, his receiving core is still pretty young. Pretty fast, too.
And that looks to be another 1st down. Salt Lake City is moving the ball fairly good now after that bad interception on their first drive.
Indeed they are, cutting through this number 1 pass defense like butter. Corbin being the man to take on the challenge.
Definitely seems like that they're not leaning to the run as much after that play. And just as I say that, that's a great break tackle, and that'll bring them an 8-yard gain.
Looks like Sherrod Conway will make his way into the game. Give some relief snaps for DeMarcus Clark.
They're definitely in field goal range now, so they should be able to get points on this drive right here. And that's a 1st down plus some more right there.
Now we got some red zone action. I don't think we've seen that yet today, late in the first quarter.
Salt Lake City's been moving the ball relatively good now, and that's a short pass dumped off, and that looks like to be no gain on that play. In fact, a negative play.
Another injury on the defensive side of things, this time Orlando. Julian Melville must have got banged up on that tackle.
Not the best injury you want to have on this number 1, and that's a play action. Send back to the running back, and that's a 1st down right there.
Looks like receiver, tight end, or running back, Sean Corbin is finding a way to fit the ball anywhere and everywhere as they look for a touchdown.
On the 3-yard line, they step back, they pass it, and that's going to be a touchdown right there.
6-3. Still a one-score game, but great catch by the tight end there. Joseph Meister and Sean Corbin will have an excellent stat line with the exception of that one interception straight out the gate.
And that kick is straight up and good. And we will see Orlando get the ball back with about 2 minutes left in the first quarter.
Other than Sean Corbin, who was on the Brooklyn roster last season, this whole Salt Lake City roster is essentially grown from the ground up in Salt Lake City. Not a lot of outsiders on this roster. You see a lot of teams building up these powerhouses in the league, you know, all the owners making all the transactions, but Salt Lake City trying to do it the organic way despite the poor showing so far this year at 1-4.
That is correct. They definitely enjoy having a natural Salt Lake City team, and that's going to be close to the first down with a 9-yard gain.
Salt Lake City wins it here. They may see themselves already in the playoff picture. It depends on how the rest of the games go here in Week 6. Third place in the West, only at 1-4.
Pressured, and that is a deep ball, and he is gone. He passed to the 10, and that was a touchdown, Orlando.
That is this week's number 1 receiver, Jordan Trent. Great play for the Flames. I say this week's number 1 receiver because Orlando has had quite a few injuries for the receiving corps. Lorenzo Martin being out, Justin Langford this week being out. You know, aside from their center Josh Wiener being gone, you know, most of their injuries this season have been in the receiving corps. And it is shocking to see such big plays still being put up by Orlando. You know, that must say something about the receiver coach or the offensive coordinator for this Orlando Flames team.
And that's correct. And Boone will be taking out the kick, and he is tackled at the 20 right there. The 21 to be exact.
A lot of tackles today by Antoine Stevenson for the Flames, whether it be on kick returns, punt returns, or just any old play. I feel like I see number 20 in the red.
That's straight through the gap for a gain of 7 yards right there.
Another cornerback stepping up on that play, making the stop before the first down. That was Corey McGrady.
And they toss it to Clark, and he's going to get a great gain right there for first down.
Again, another stoppage by Antoine Stevenson. Looked like DeMarcus Clark could have had a gap there, but Stevenson was able to break off of his man and stop him before he made any huge gain there.
Had it not been for him, that probably could have been about a 50-yard play right there. Straight to Adams, and he's going to get a great game, but there's a flag on the play. The flag is against the offense, and that will bring them back.
Heartbreaker right there for Salt Lake City. Obviously, if you're a Cougars fan, you hate to see plays like that, like in any league. The offensive line, you know, any play can be called a holding, but it's just when the ref decides to call it.
And that's a bad quarterback keeper for only 1 yard right there. You don't want to do that on such a big first down right there.
Yeah, I guess Corbin was thinking, you know, if they're trying to protect me and they get a holding, maybe I'll just take it myself. End of the first quarter now.
Let's see how Salt Lake City will respond on 2nd and 19.
Only a one-score game. Pretty great action on the defensive side so far.
And he's going to run the ball, and that is a great gain, taking them from 2nd and 19 to 3rd and 5 with a 14-yard gain.
Huge third down here for Sean Corbin and the Cougars.
He's going to step back, pass, and that is not thrown right, and that will be 4th and 5, and they will be punting the ball away.
Seeing those throws reminds me of any of our beloved quarterbacks' final years in the league. You know, you see some of those candy arm throws. I'm reminded immediately of Phillip Rivers, his final year. You know, sometimes the arm just doesn't do what it used to.
That's correct, and possibly if he had been younger, then that throw could have been for a first down, kept Salt Lake City moving those chains.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know who they're going to draft in the first round.
He steps back and he's passing, and the ball is caught for a gain of 6 yards.
That is all-star tight end Galbraith.
I wonder what Orlando's going to do on this drive, since they don't want to keep Salt Lake City too close into this, because they know that their offense is very weakened and rattled from injuries.
Oh, yeah. You know, I had an interview with the owner of this team, Farrow, and he said that he's going to try to keep the ball on the ground on the offensive side, given all the injuries at the wide receiving core. And with the exception of a couple dropbacks like that, it seems like they've been sticking to that game plan pretty well.
And I understand why you'd want to do that. You know, your offensive line isn't that great, and with many of your star receivers being out for this game, then you really just want to keep it on the ground as much as possible.
And keep it on the ground they did. Almost back up. Actually, a little bit past the initial line of scrimmage following the sack on the previous play.
This will be quite the long play for 3rd and 9, and they need this to keep those chains moving and potentially score a touchdown. He drops back, and that ball is tipped off, and that will bring up 4th and 9, and they will be punting it back to Salt Lake City.
Although they maintain the lead, you know, they really got to beware of the Salt Lake City offense. In my interview with the owner, Farrow, he was saying that the ground game will be the difference. You know, he has a lot of faith in his defensive backs, but he believes that, you know, if they really stick to that run game with this rookie, DeMarquis Clark.
Oh, he is gone.
DeMarquis Clark. Touchdown.
After hurdling the attempted tackle, he just runs past all those Orlando Flames defenders, and that will give Salt Lake City the lead back.
He did an excellent replacement of free safety Joseph Maitland, filling the role of that punt return. And
the Cougars.
Salt Lake City will have the lead here. Wow.
After starting out very bad with an early interception, that they've seemed to be moving the ball relatively well, and their defense has been playing really well so far.
Yeah, DeMarquis Clark seeming to be trying to make a case for his Rookie of the Year candidacy with that punt return for the touchdown. Oh, no.
And that's another injury to that receiving core, and now Orlando is down many, potentially all of their starting wide receivers for this game.
They only have 4 receivers left. They had to make a couple promotions, a few being on their initial practice squad at the start of the year. They had to get Benny St. Clair, now their wide receiver too, following that injury from the free agency. And this receiving core seems pretty pieced together. You have Jamarcus Golden, Benny St. Clair, Travis Monroe, and Amir Walker. That is it. Do not have any 5th receiver. No 5 receiver sets here for the Flames.
Oh, and that's the ball fumbled. And Salt Lake City has the ball back at around the 22.
The strip sack, punch, and recovery all made by Sam Hennigan, the 27-year-old out of Texas Tech.
That play definitely looked like it was supposed to be a bomb, but quarterback may have realized he didn't have the arm, so he may have attempted to run that ball, but then that was a great strip sack right there.
Yeah, Hennigan making the big plays for Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City could potentially go up 2 possessions right here if they can get a touchdown.
Things starting to look scary here in Florida.
But that is a great tackle for loss to bring him from 2nd and inches to 3rd and 6.
Ryan Rosenblum, frequent name popping up on our screens, making all the big plays here for Orlando.
See what Salt Lake City will do on this 3rd and 6. They will step back pass, and that will be caught for a first down.
You love to see quick thinking by the quarterback, and I think that might come with experience for the most part. You know, Sean Corbin recognizing that they're probably going to see pressure and dishing it out to McAllister, getting the first down.
And he's running the ball, and he is brought down for a sack.
Great sack by Aaron Stapleton. These offensive lines not protecting these veteran quarterbacks enough. A lot of sacks here today.
That's causing them to try to attempt to run the ball because that their pocket is collapsing.
And as expected, the handoff to DeMarcus Clark, but it didn't result in a gain of much. 3rd and 9.
This will bring them another 3rd down to see, and we'll see what they do here. Drops back, pass pressure, and that's a touchdown for Salt Lake City.
Wow. Joseph Meister, 2nd touchdown of the day. The only man getting the offensive touchdowns for Salt Lake City as the Cougars go up by 11. I did not expect to see this score at this point in the game. How about you, Nick?
I would say that I'm certainly surprised, even though Orlando's dealing with injuries, they definitely seem like the more favorable team, especially fighting for a very tough playoff race against division opponent Memphis Liberty, and seeing them down this bad could be scary.
For sure. And if Baton Rouge gets a win tomorrow against Louisville, then you do not want to be the Orlando Flames sitting at the bottom of the Southeast Division.
Now, Orlando definitely has to respond with a touchdown, at least, because they don't want to be still down a possession, including a 2-point conversion, because that could be a very unlikely thing to happen right there.
Yeah, it is not often in the NAGA that you see teams down by double digits heading into the half and coming out on top when all is said and done, so they really do need to capitalize on this possession here.
He steps back, clean pocket, but he throws short, and that seems to be a 3rd and inches.
Looks like Barrett Galbraith could not stay in bounds long enough.
A few times tonight that we've seen Orlando have a great pocket, and that is a 1st down plus a bit more.
A lot of great plays by Cameron Brown for this Orlando offense, stepping up with the lack of receivers that they so obviously have.
If you are Orlando, they definitely want to run out the clock as much as you can while trying to get a touchdown, so Salt Lake City doesn't have time to respond with their own points on the board.
Oh yeah, and it takes a lot of faith in your offense to pull that kind of maneuver. I know the owner, Farrow, said in the interview I had with him that, as long as everyone stays healthy and, for the most part, on their offense and defense, then, he knows the team started 2-0. He believes that they can win out the rest of the season. He has a lot of faith in this offense and in this team.
And that was not a great run. He ran into his own blocker, and had he not done that, that could have been a great play for Orlando. Quick pass, and that is not caught. That'll bring up a punt.
Right off the hands of current wide receiver 2, Benny St. Clair, a former Florida Gator.
Wonder how Salt Lake City will respond here. You know, they can run a quick 2-minute drill. They'll be getting the ball within their own 20, so they can definitely go up by a major possession.
For sure. And I mean, both teams have all 3 timeouts. Anything can happen right here before the half.
Flag on the play. He is throwing long, and that flag is against the offense once again.
Looks like DeMarcus Clark, being a running back and a rookie, is using some, not necessarily legal methods to try to protect his quarterback.
And that will bring us to the 2-minute warning.
First and long inside the 10. We've seen a lot of safeties this year. I wonder how this offensive line will protect Sean Corbin.
And that is going to be a tackle for loss. And there's a flag on the play against the defense, though. And that will bring them to 2nd and 6.
And if you're the Flames, you want to stop making so many mistakes that led up such a massive chunk of yardage. That face mask was not necessary even after the breakthrough by Rosenblum.
That's correct, because that also lets Salt Lake City back into scoring potential, and that will bring Salt Lake City to a 3rd and 2nd with 1 minute 52 seconds left on the clock.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't be in this 3rd and short position had that face mask not happened, Gonna make Rosenblum run some extra laps in practice.
Steps back, and that is a bad throw, and they will be punting it anyways.
Yeah, Joseph Meister, the common target for Salt Lake City, just wasn't thrown in his vicinity.
Let's see how this punt goes. And he's tackled at the 32.
It's like Kevin Boone got to him before he could do anything major.
If you're Orlando, then you definitely just want to start going for some long passes to try and get on the scoreboard before halftime.
Go! Oh yeah, I imagine we'll see a lot of 2 tight end sets. Speaking of tight ends,
there was a quick pass towards him for a 2-yard gain.
I believe that was Alex Rubio's first target and first catch.
Orlando steps back. He throws it short. This looks like a big gain, and there it is.
Another first-time receiver today. That was fullback Tyler Jordan. Orlando resorting to any and every means they can, using all the weapons at their disposal to drive down the field.
Due to that great blocking, then that results in a much bigger play than it should have been.
Oh.
Pressure, and he is stacked. And timeout number 1 for Orlando.
2nd and long, courtesy of Gabriel White.
Great defensive play right there, shooting the gap, giving the quarterback almost next to no time. And they're just going to dump it off for a gain of 2 yards.
A lot of pressure coming towards Sean Fisher. You can see it there on that play, too.
That is correct. Offensive line hasn't been holding up very well, and they're just going to run the ball and give the ball back to Salt Lake City. And timeout number 1 from Salt Lake City. 48 seconds left on the clock.
Both teams 2 timeouts, under a minute to go. Looks like Salt Lake City may do the deep bomb strategy. Hope not to throw another interception to the Flames.
And they're going to have the ball at the 20-yard line. I'm definitely not impressed by this performance so far. with all the penalties and the lack of offensive production this game, and the not great, and that is an interception. Just as I was going to mention the bad defense, and that was a great diving interception.
I believe that was the second interception on the day from Adrian Gordon, always giving the Flames new opportunities.
Now they're back into this game, basically.
Yes, they
First
are.
down. And he's going to fight for more yards. 30 seconds left on the clock. In the goal line.
Cameron Brown celebrating there. No doubt they're going to give it to him again to try to punch it in here.
Step back, pass, and that is a risky throw right there, but it's called by the receiver. Last time out from Orlando.
Barrett Galbraith, I believe, catches most of those contested catches. He's a reliable tight end, but you do not want to risk it here on this scoring opportunity.
They're just going to throw it away to avoid time running out. 3rd and goal.
3rd and goal from the 2. What do you do here if you're the owner, Nick?
Running back has been performing relatively well this game so far, so I believe that you just try to run it in, but they're going to step back pass, and that is not caught. They're going to have to make a big decision now.
Depends on how much you trust your offense. 3 points is 3 points, as they say.
And they're just going to bring out the kicking team. Should be an easy kick.
And it is.
Straight through the upright.
19-yard chip shot by Stephen Freitag with 13 seconds left to go in this half. Orlando tactically down by 1 score.
Now, seeing what happened on Salt Lake City's last drive, do you, as the offensive coordinator and general manager, decide to risk throwing possibly another interception?
2 timeouts. I mean, I'd say, run some slants towards the outside. Try to get a guy to toe tap it. If not, throw an obvious one down the middle, get in field goal range, and, let the kicker kick it through. I don't think we've seen much action from Justin Lavelle today.
He's going deep, and that could bring us to the half, and it will. Orlando will be receiving the ball, I believe.
I thought so, but if I remember correctly, Orlando did have the opening drive, and they went 3 and out. And then whenever Salt Lake City got the ball, yeah.
Salt Lake City could go back up 2 possessions. The returner's out there. The return team has made some pretty great plays, but he's going to get down at about the 24-yard line.
Great return there by the veteran Kevin Boone.
This drive could potentially decide how this game goes. You're Orlando. You're down 21-13. A touchdown will bring you down 15 points. Your defense needs to step up in a situation like this.
For sure. The owner, Farrow, he said that since his spot's in jeopardy, that he's just relying on his linebackers and D-backs to really make the plays, and that's essentially what's been happening today. The linebackers and the defensive backs picking them off and making the huge stops to prevent breakaway plays. That's been what's keeping the Flames in this game, since the offense can't produce.
That's very true, because two of the offensive scores have happened due to a turnover. Oh, and he is sacked. He had tried to go for the fake handoff, and the offensive line just collapses.
Play action plays are unforgiving. Sean Tucker finding his way to Corbin, resulting in the 4th down.
First, I don't think that's the greatest play, because the defense will be running through there trying to get a stop anyways. And he was brought down at about the 30.
not the worst field position to start off for the Flames, but you really got to start relying on your greatest assets with all these missing receivers.
They're going to run the ball, and it's going to get a pretty decent run for 4 yards.
Cameron Brown being as reliable as ever, getting almost 100 all-purpose yards today.
That's definitely been one of the highlights on the Orlando offense this game, and he's going to get a small gain of what looks to be only a few yards.
A gain of only like 2 there, 3. But boy, did he put Michael Sinclair on his back.
Oh, and that is a wide open receiver.
That is recent practice squad elevation, Amir Walker. I believe seeing the field for the second time this season, last time being elevated in week 4.
Orlando definitely... Oh, that is a risky throw right there. Could have possibly been intercepted by Salt Lake City.
For sure. Amir Walker doing his best to help the team. Last time he saw the field, Orlando beat Louisville in Louisville. 16-13. So maybe his presence means good omens here for the Flames.
That is very true. And that's not really going to help Orlando out with a 3rd and 10 right there.
Yeah, you can see Barrett Galbraith throwing his arms up in frustration there. Sean Fisher not seeing proper communication with Galbraith today.
That's very true. And that's just going to bring up a 4th and 10. They'll probably be punting the ball back to Salt Lake City.
Heartbreaker attempt to Amir Walker. You can hear the fans' disappointment there, as that was right in his breadbasket.
That's going to be a pretty good punt, though. And that's going to be down at the 3-yard line.
Orlando defense coming out licking their chops. Might see a safety here. Not uncommon in the NAGA.
Let's see how Orlando goes on this play right here. They're sending a blitz, and he just dumps it off. He spins out the tackle, and that's going to be a small gain.
That spin move by DeMarcus Clark saved Salt Lake City 2 points. I tell you what. Sean Tucker thought he had him.
Not completely safe yet. Quarterback's going to keep it, and that's going to be another small gain for Salt Lake City.
At their own 7. Better than the 3. But
that's true, but it's very possible that safety could still occur if the quarterback steps back far enough. But he's just going to give the ball to Clark, and that's going to be a 1st down out of the danger of a safety.
And all the Cougars fans at home sigh a breath of relief halfway through the 3rd quarter.
Now Salt Lake City is safe to pass now, and they're going to start passing right now. That looks to be nearly an interception right there.
Right off the hands of one of their playmakers. That was DeMarcus Elder on that deflection.
It's going to bring up 2nd and 10 on the 16-yard line. And he's going to step back, and he's going to pass it to a wide open receiver, and he's just going to run out of bounds. 3rd and 3 on the 23-yard line.
Great toe tapper by wide receiver 3, my bad, Jordan Culver. Former Georgia Bulldog.
Salt Lake City has definitely had a bit of a long possession right now, and that's going to increase that time of possession as they get a first down.
Great catch by the fullback, Ryan Adams. Fullback's not getting a lot of love today, but when they do see the ball, it seems to be pretty consequential.
That's very true. Fullbacks for both teams have saved their teams from potentially going a 3 and out.
Great first down by the rookie on the reception there.
If Salt Lake City gets a score here, then this could be the beginning of the end for Orlando in this game.
Regardless of who's in at running back, if I'm Salt Lake City, I am not letting Sean Corbin step back in the pocket. You know, if he's passing, he's starting off in shotgun like he is right here. Otherwise, he's handing that thing off.
He's going to step back, and there's pressure, flag on the play. Let's see what this is on. And this is on the offense. Another holding call on the offensive line. That's going to set them back 10 yards.
Offensive line is one of the most unforgiving and unpraised positions. You know, all you do is make mistakes. Not a lot of your stats are tracked. You cost your team a whole lot just doing your job, you know.
And the Cougars are going to run back, and they're going to be back at a third and 9.
Right at midfield. Let's see what Salt Lake City has in store. Looks like they've eaten up most of the quarter.
That's very true. That's a quick pass, and he is wide open, and that's going to bring him down at around the 25-yard line.
I'm sure the Cougars call that the Corbin special. A nice hike under pressure, quick throw out to one of your reliable receivers.
And now the Flames are in major danger right here, as the Cougars are most certainly in field goal range, and they could go up by 11 points this late into the game. That could be crucial.
Yeah, going up by 2 scores, especially the way the offense has been performing for the Flames. Very scary.
Because Orlando will most certainly have to go for a 2-point conversion if they score a touchdown, so that they could have a chance at tying this game and potentially sending this into an overtime.
I'm sure the coaching staff over by owner Farrow, I'm sure they are plotting up all the ways they can stay in this game right now.
3rd and 2. They're going to toss it, and that's going to be a first down for Salt Lake City.
Great extension by DeMarquez Clark. You know, it doesn't matter how fast you are as a running back, you got to have the grit to extend for those crucial plays.
He's going to run the ball again, and he is going to get a small gain of 4 yards, and they are going to bring in Conway.
I formation inside the 15.
It fakes the handoff, and that's just going to be down. That's going to be a 3rd and 6 on the 11-yard line.
At this point, you got to wonder why they're running so many play actions. They don't seem to work for them.
Let's see what the Cougars will do here. They're going to step back pass, clean pocket, and that is swatted down. Great defensive play right there.
Great defensive play indeed. You don't want to see the 3rd touchdown on the day for Joseph Meister. Although I'm sure Meister's heartbroken from that.
They're going to be attempting this field goal, and that is going to be that's no good.
Wow, Justin Lavelle, the first attempt on the day, 0 for 1. That gives Orlando the perfect opportunity to tie this thing up.
Yeah, it's true. They got they have just been saved from a major deficit going into the fourth quarter. Now they have been rejuvenated, and that's going to be a first down already.
Cameron Brown seeing to it himself that Orlando is out of the pressure of being inside their own 15. And Sean Fisher and company are going to try to score before the third quarter ends.
Seems to be dropped by the receiver. That is not good. If had it been one of their starters, then that would have been most certainly a first down right there.
Without a doubt. You know, Lorenzo Martin, Justin Langford, even one of their other receivers, DeMarcus Teague, who's currently not playing this game, but
he's going to be running the ball. The ball is fumbled. Salt Lake City has the ball.
What a play. This time by the Salt Lake City defense. I think any big play on the Salt Lake City defense has been by Gabriel White, and on the Orlando Flames defense by Adrian Gordon. Two big playmakers at linebacker.
Deep pass tipped off, and Salt Lake City's the two turnovers that they forced on Orlando have both been fumbles on an attempted quarterback run.
And of course, on the opposite side, both turnovers Orlando has forced have been interceptions thrown around mid-range.
And that will bring us to the fourth quarter, 10 minutes left in this ballgame. 21-13, Salt Lake City leads at the 22-yard line.
Another opportunity has presented itself here. And you got to let Justin Lavelle.
That's going to be a first down, and that's going to help Salt Lake City potentially go up by 2 possessions.
Yeah, we might see a lead of, a solid 15 points depending on how this whole thing ends.
Division-wise, this is not great for Orlando. Although Raleigh has secured the division title, being 6-0 right now, Memphis, Raleigh, and Baton Rouge are all fighting for a potential playoff spot. Orlando having a negative point differential and Memphis having a positive point differential will not help them if they lose this game.
Without a doubt.
Second and 11. Orlando needs to do something on defense, and it can't. And they just don't want to let more points be on the board. They're definitely going to try and force an interception, fumble, or anything that could get them back the ball.
If you're Orlando this late in the season and you lose today, you face Raleigh again in week 8, and you're already missing all your receivers. At that point, I'm thinking, how high of a draft pick can we get?
Technically, if they decide to start tanking for the season, then they could secure themselves a fairly high draft pick.
A lot of great prospects to look forward to next season as well.
And he will be attempting another kick after missing the previous one, and that one is straight through. 24-13. Salt Lake City leads with 7 minutes and 55 seconds left.
Wow. And at this point, it is almost secured for the Cougars.
And right here, you start to wonder: is Orlando's season done, or will they manage to crawl themselves back from this deficit?
It's like Brown was looking for a gap there. Couldn't quite find
If
one.
you're Orlando, and you want to win this game, then you have to start passing now, because they can't waste too much clock, because they still have to attempt an onside kick and score another point, whether it be field goal, touchdown.
And with the unreliable receivers you have, you're going to start looking towards, the backfield, throw into Cameron Brown and Sean Miles. And looking at your tight ends like Barrett Galbraith and Alex Rubio, you know, the receiving core's running a little thin, and it is not a position you want to see yourself in, especially trailing by 11.
And that's going to be a great first down with a broken tackle. That's going to give Orlando a first set of downs at the 41.
Great field position. You don't got to force anything. Looks like Tyler Jordan, the fullback, is on the field. Could utilize him as well.
Now we see what the Flames do here on display. So long pass, and that is an interception, Salt Lake City.
Sean Fisher clearly trying to force it. Michael St. Clair coming out with it.
And this game seems all but over now, as Orlando has little to no hope being down this bad with Salt Lake City having the ball in midfield. You start to wonder, can you still win this game?
The chances are less and less likely. Salt Lake City, on the other hand, you start looking forward to the next couple weeks. Next week, they have an evening game in Albuquerque facing off against the River Monsters, who have had a roller coaster of a season. And then finishing off the season at home, they will face off against the Portland Grizzlies, who, although suffering a tragic loss to Omaha, is still looking to maintain their playoff standing. So if you're Salt Lake City, now's the time to buckle down.
And also for Salt Lake City, you really want Albuquerque to lose this next game, because their spirits will be low, and Albuquerque will start to wonder if they can still make the playoffs. And meanwhile, Salt Lake City will be trying to fight for that last seed in the playoff picture.
Oh yeah, with great competition in the Pacific, in Omaha, Milwaukee, Austin, Albuquerque. A lot of faces there that could make big waves in the playoffs.
Looking into the future with the leading teams, you start to wonder, will Raleigh go 8-0 and potentially be the first perfect team after going 1-11 the previous season?
Yeah, you know, we've seen a lot of history set so far in Season 2 in the NAGA, and I'm sure we'll see even more next season. Raleigh having a pretty decent schedule to finish out the season, too.
That's very true, and that's another first down with a first and goal on the 8. And Salt Lake City could go up potentially 31-13, and they were just pummeling the Orlando Flames right now in front of the Flames' home crowd. But that is a great defensive play.
I've already seen some of the people up in the top stands head out. You know, a lot of the fans already think this game is over. And if there's a score here, then I might start to agree.
Seems like Salt Lake City will just be running down the clock as we go with 4 minutes left, and the clock is ticking.
3rd and goal from the 10. They're just burning time.
Drop back passes, and that's going to be dropped, and they're going to bring out the field goal unit to potentially go up 27-13.
2-touchdown lead is it's not impossible, but given the mistakes from this Orlando offense, very improbable.
And that kick is straight up the uprights, 27-13. Salt Lake City leading with 3 minutes 39 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Can Orlando possibly do it?
And at first, you know, if you're an Orlando fan, you're seeing the team and you're like, well, they just gotta keep, you know, passing it to the backs. You know, all the mistakes have been fumbles. And then after that interception, now you don't know what to do. So we'll see what kind of tricks they pull out of the hat. And
if you remember, at one point Orlando was leading 10-7, and Salt Lake City, after that punt return touchdown, just hasn't looked back.
They indeed have not. 27-13. They've gone on a rampage here in Florida.
Orlando definitely just needs to start passing now because that's a fumble.
You can't help but laugh at just the unfortunate series of events that have fallen upon the Orlando offense. You know, you try to run it, it's fumbled. You try to pass it, it's intercepted. You know, at this point, just put the backups in and save your dignity.
It seems like we will be seeing the end of this game, as Salt Lake City will likely be winning this game in an impressive fashion, you know, being predicted not very highly in this game despite Orlando missing many players, and they've proved that Orlando did not have it, you know, with all these injuries.
And if you're the owner, Pharaoh, you know, you're looking at the prospects, you're looking at next season, and you're trying to save face and make sure none of your guys get major sustained injuries heading into the end of this season.
And it looks like we'll be seeing... Oh, and that'll be a bad throw, and Salt Lake City will probably be taking out their field goal unit for potentially the last time in this game to go up 30-13.
Icing on the cake after missing his first kick.
And that is not good.
Lavelle, you could see the cockiness in his stride as he waltzed onto the field just to miss. He's 50% on the day now.
Now if you're Orlando, you just have to start bombing it, you know. One play, you don't have to waste a timeout, be a sack or not, but there's a flag on the play, so wait a second. It will be against the offense, and they will be accepting it.
Last season, Sean Corbin missed the playoffs with Brooklyn going 5-7 in the East Division. This year, he may see some redemption. He may make it to the playoffs. So he's been given new hope here with this Salt Lake City team.
And if you remember, Orlando going into this game had you know, the best passing defense, and seeing what Salt Lake City has done to them, you start to wonder, what can they do, you know? One of the most important things is definitely keeping, you know, your players healthy, especially the receiving room, which is clearly in this game hurt Orlando the most, and you start to wonder, do you want to draft a receiver in this upcoming draft?
For sure, especially given all the injuries. And, you know, last season, Orlando, they made the playoffs, and although they lost to their division rivals, the Memphis Liberty, you know, they got to accept their fate this season. You know, how they like it or not, that way they can bounce back even stronger with a much younger, much healthier team.
And now all these great completions are coming, which would have been very helpful earlier in this game, because now, you know, you have only one timeout, a minute and a half left. Yes, you're on the 33-yard line, but it's very unlikely here.
I chalk it up to Orlando not putting Barrett Galbraith on the field enough, or Sean Fisher just not targeting him enough. You're targeting these young or inexperienced receivers instead of targeting your guys who make the plays.
Yeah, that is very true. And we'll see what Orlando does. A minute and a half left. Step back, pressure. They'll give it to get to him, and now you're on the 19-yard line. You only have one timeout, and if Salt Lake City recovers, then that will be game.
Yeah, it's not looking too hopeful. At this point, they're just making the score sheet look a little better if they score here.
See what the Flames will be doing here. Weird that they're going for all the outside passes, because as you can see right there, it's used up their last timeout of the game. I would just start bombing the middle, because either way, it's very unlikely that you win this game now. So you start to wonder why they're risking, all these plays right here.
Yeah, especially your all-star tight end Barrett Galbraith. You don't want to see him get hurt, although he is the man to look to make these big plays.
Orlando in the red zones for, I believe, the first time all game, which doesn't show how great their offense should be. Stepping back, and that will be a touchdown, Orlando.
Touchdown, Benny St. Clair.
You have to make this kick, plus the onside kick, if you want a chance to potentially win this game.
Yeah, and the NAGA has a 0% onside kick recovery, so that would be NAGA history if they recover it.
See what happens here. 1 minute, 9 seconds left. Let's see what happens on this play. And that is recovered by Salt Lake City, and that will be game. Salt Lake City will win 27-20 in Orlando, and both teams will be 2-4 after this game.
And the league is all but 2-4s and 3s following this week, minus some of our top contenders in the league. And going into next week, Salt Lake City will have to strategize on how they will beat the River Monsters.
This is a very impressive win on the road, maintaining a 1-2 possession lead practically the entire game. And from this offense, before this game, they were one of the worst. But now you look at the score and you wonder, could they bounce back from their bad start?
Now, the game's over. You see a lot of errors from the offensive side. But, Nick, who do you think was the player of the game for Salt Lake City?
If I had to say, it would definitely be Clark for Salt Lake City, He had done a majority of the offense today. And I'd say if I had to choose a second, it would be the man who returned that punt return touchdown that would start up this massive blow-up that we see.
Oh, no, that was DeMarcus Clark. That was him. So, yeah, DeMarcus Clark, really. He was the player of the game. Carried the team on his back. Now, DeMarcus Clark being a rookie, that starts to beg the question if he deserves the title Rookie of the Year. I guess we'll see what happens in the next 2 games.
Definitely looking at what happened this game, you can definitely put him as a candidate, pretty much confusing the Orlando defense, one of the best in the league. And you start to wonder, if he can continue doing this, could we see the next Hall of Fame player?
For sure. Well, that's the end of this game. You have any closing remarks, Nick?
I'm very impressed by Salt Lake City in this game, They're going into this game 1-4. Orlando has definitely pretty much every advantage possible besides injury. They have the home field, they're fighting for a playoff spot. And going into this game, you think that Orlando would just easily win, but you look at this game now and you wonder what could Orlando have done differently in this game.
Agreed. And anything can happen in the NAGA. So, we thank you for joining us on this broadcast. I'm Reed Option, joined today by Nick. We thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.